Right then, hello. Let's talk some lore, shall we? I haven't actually done a tweet about this yet, so let me do that quickly. Fair warning, I feel horrific today. We had a full day out at a theme park yesterday, and I woke up yesterday morning with just like the creeping of a headache, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse as the day went on, to the point where I got very little sleep last night. And then all of today so far, it is like just not allowed me to concentrate. So I may not be firing on all cylinders today, but if I don't do this lore stream now, I feel like it's just going to get lost to time, ironically. So let me just do this tweet about us being live, and then I'll come on camera and everything. Give me a second. Live now on stream. I'm just trying to think how to word it. Eyes and ears, AU.
The stream could always use more subscribers.
There we go. Let me just attach the picture and I'll send that out. Nice. All right, cool. Here I am. I actually don't look as bad as I thought I did. Just my eyes feel very heavy. It's I had a really horrible moment this morning where like this headache, migraine, whatever it is, was so intense that it felt like just weight and pain on every direction. And then just like out of nowhere, a sneeze came, and oh my god, the pain when I did that sneeze, it literally made me like yelp in pain afterwards. It was horrific, absolutely horrific. So yeah, Not feeling the best today, but we can do our thing. We can do our thing. I literally like sneezed, yelped, and then just kind of had to stop moving. I even ended up having to like sit on the floor and stuff. It was so bad. Oh gosh. Right, real quick. Aha! Hello to Sylv. Thank you very much for becoming a member on YouTube. Very much appreciated. I have put up a thing, by the way, for those of you that might not have seen it, on YouTube. You can only see it if you're a member, but we're going to be doing a past life members only video. So I've done a little community post. Where is it? Gosh, wow, there's 84 comments on it already. Jesus. Is this one just here? So it says, now that past life is concluded, it's time for a members only Q&A about the series. So this one is more generally about the series, whereas this live stream today is going to be more broad. It's going to be more specifically about the Eyes and Ears AU, the alternate universe, whatever you want to call it. The story that I've been writing with the Watchers and everything around everything. So yeah, I said, I hope you all enjoyed the extended cuts. There's some really nice scenes we got to put in, and thanks again for becoming members. And project files are coming this week, finally, which is brilliant. I think just before we get started as well, should we do a quick ad break? I know it's really annoying to like only be on for a few minutes then do one, but if I do it now, it means that for the next hour we get no ads whatsoever, so nobody's missing any information or anything. People can just come in and do their thing. So if you sit tight, Jesus, we're on a wait. Are we on a hype? Oh God, I never have these. We're on a hype train at the minute. Goodness me. That's because fruit bowls are my thing with a 22-month Prime resub. Says, hey Martin, congrats on winning past life. My partner and I were screaming in the tent at the clutch. We can't wait to see you in Hermitcraft season 11. Keep on hoping, buddy. Keep on praying. Annalisa, aha! Oh, and also Moskai, aha! Both becoming members over on YouTube. Oh, Moss Kai's was like an upgraded one. Like you upgraded from the $1 to the member. Ha. Thank you very much. I didn't even realize YouTube would actually track that info. Fandom Anon as well with the 10 gifted. Congratulations to the Nixus, Jasper Foe. Oh, that, why is that disappeared? There we go. To Jasper Phobic, we got Skrunkgy _ Giraffe. Can't even speak today. We got Mizany. We got Toakoi. We got Emery was taken. Lulu Pistols. Pride Gaming 96. Arget Schooler. Is that one word? 2, 3? I'm not sure. And also Evelyn Ann, all getting gifted subs. Thank you very much. We got Nicole Xenia with the 2-month Prime. Welcome back. We got Bro PG with the 35 months. Lilith May with a brand new subscription on Twitch. We got Teacup Espion as well. And then McAdoo with 100 bits. Lovely. Thank you very much, everybody. Much appreciated. The hype train is now on level 4. Jesus. I never see these. This is quite fun. Totty Cat with the Prime sub. We got Dr. Metal Warrior saying, did you see what happened on SmackDown last night? I did. I personally wasn't that stoked about it because I have never watched, I don't think, an AJ Lee match. That was very much in the period of time where I wasn't watching wrestling anymore. I think basically from like my sort of late teens through to honestly about a year or two ago, I wasn't following wrestling at all. I think only really since like the beginning of TikTok have I kept up with wrestling a little bit, just because you have all of like the React channels and stuff like that come up, you know what I mean? So that was a whole thing. Right, let's do a quick ad break. We're back in 3 minutes. If you don't want to see these ads, you can join the hype train and subscribe to the channel. You can do your Twitch Prime. You go to twitchprime.com and you hook up your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch. You get a free sub every 30 days. Or as always, you can become a member on YouTube, a lot cheaper. And I'm pretty certain that gets rid of ads over there. I need to double check that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. But we'll do a 3-minute ad break and we'll be back in a mo. Boom. Got it. Tell you what, should we do cheeky Wordle whilst we wait? Also, I very much intend on playing some more Hollow Knight, Silk Song. I've obviously just been away because basically this week is like the last week of Amelia being off school. So we went to a theme park yesterday, which was really fun. And what was really cool is Amelia is now tall enough to go on like some of the rides, not all of them, but some of them, and like some pretty big ones as well. Like ones where like your legs are dangling and you got full harnesses over you and stuff like that. I was like, damn, like that's That's crazy that she gets to go on those. But it was really fun. I can't wait now for Robin to be big enough, because then the four of us can just go to any theme park. We can all go on everything. Oh, it's going to be so sick. It's going to be so sick. It's going to be really, really cool. Oh, look at the little Hollow Knight badges. They're fun. This badge was earned by subscribing to a streamer in the Hollow Knight Silksong category during the game's launch week. No way. I didn't know that was a thing. That's crazy. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, we'll start with Steam. As always, just the E and nothing else. Let's do Bling. Okay. Ooh. Is it Bulge? Yes, it is. That is quite impressive, actually. I will take it. I would take it. Wordle spoilers. Look, you can close your eyes. You can close the tab. Like, how? Well, all I was thinking was, if there's an L and a G, the L has to go, like, kind of around here. Or it could be, like, Bugle or something like that. The G probably wasn't going to live at the end. Or, sorry, it's obviously not at the end, but, like, something like here. You didn't even give me enough time to close my eyes. I need to see you, like, throw your headphones across the room. That's what I need to see. That's the way that should be handled. We've got 1 minute left on the ads as well. Should we do One Piece still? Let's have a look. Wanted poster for today is Brooke. Yo-ho-ho-ho. Nice. And we'll do the classic. I always bail on the classic so early. Start with Nami, not Nami. A high bounty, which means there must be a baddie. Let's go for Kaido. Okay, Zoan type. Lower than that. Origin Grand Line. Oh, I don't know. Who's in the Grand Line? Would Doflamingo be in the Grand Line? Is he a Zoan? No, he's not, right? He's a Paramecia. I feel like I still to this day don't fully understand the things. Oh, first introduction, first arc was Jaya. Ooh. Who was first introduced in Jaya? What does Jaya cover in One Piece? I'm just trying to remember which arcs are in there, or which areas. Because I was thinking Sky Islands, yeah. I mean, if it's Sky Islands, could it maybe be... I guess that's not a Zoan, is it? I was thinking of, what's his face? Who's the fella that went to the moon? What's his name? An L. I think that's Paramecia as well, right? Oh, that's Logia. Oh, God, that's another type I completely forgot about. Try Whitebeard. Sure. Edward Newgate. No, because I guess he's Paramecia as well. That's fine. We'll bail on it. Anyway, let's talk lore. Now, I don't have a official construct for today's stream. I've just kind of decided I'll go live and we will just talk about stuff as and when we go. So how do we want to do this? Like, I guess, is it maybe sometimes easier if you guys just ask questions and we play it out from there? I feel like that's usually easiest. For anybody who needs a quickie recap, this alternate universe, whatever it's called, like fan fiction, or fan lore or whatever that I write, is called The Eyes and Ears because it pertains to the watchers and the listeners. Originated in Evo initially, Minecraft Evolution, that Grian set up with a bunch of us, like me, Annette, Tom, like Minnie, Timmy, bunch of other people. And basically the premise of the Eyes and Ears thing is that when Grian got taken to become a watcher, the listeners came in and were like, we're not really cool with that, and basically tried to help liberate the players, if you will. And then basically there was a disruption that ended Evo when we jumped through a portal and seemingly nobody knew where we went. And in this story, the idea is that we are suspended in a void in space, unconscious, and whenever the watchers feel like it, they wake us up, they plonk us down into a world border and basically make us play a death match. And it's because over time, very, very long-winded and very slowly over time, their entity, whatever their kind of entity is, would feed on emotions, but they would always feed on a broad range of emotions. Whereas the watchers, as time's gone on, they've been feeding purely on negative emotions because they have a bit more zest, I suppose. And that is kind of what happened at the end of Third Life, and what happened at the beginning of Last Life and throughout Last Life was the Watchers leaning into this, like, you know, trying to cause despair and betrayal and all these sorts of things. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. That's not exactly where we've left off. I've revealed more information since. Like when we did the previous series, I revealed that the Watchers and the Listeners are part of something called the Council, which is like a collective of ethereal beings, if you will, that exist in a random pocket of void space, if you will. I haven't revealed what other types of entities reside there, like, and stuff like that. But what we do know is that the Watchers have sort of left the Council, or at least gone astray, to run these death games and do all kinds of other things, which Watcher Grian doesn't particularly agree with, because he's newer to his powers and newer to that mindset. He's not as aged as they are, so he doesn't have that emotional detachment from mortals, if you will.
On the win. Trophy emoji.
Hey, thanks,
Clapping
Greasy Goblin.
hands emoji.
Thank you very much. And sort of that's where we're kind of at the moment. So I suppose hit me with questions and I will just answer them as best I can, to sort of flesh out stuff that happens. Whether you want to quote moments that happen in the series and you want to know how they work in relation to the story. I think that I always say that I'm only really addressing things that happen from my point of view, things that I see and I interact with, yada, yada, yada. Because, you know, I can't account for everything that happens in every POV, because some people are in roleplay mode, some people aren't. For the vast majority, nobody's roleplaying. They're just playing a game and doing light roleplay in terms of, like, you know, being grumpy with this team and grumpy with that team and stuff like that. So yeah. Right. Let's scroll up through these questions. Let's have a nosy. I asked this on Twitter, but oh gosh, I almost need to take like print screens of this because the chat is genuinely bumping along. Hold on. Let me grab that. There we go. I was waiting for that screenshot to come up. What was that question? In past life, you mentioned that the shadow / the watcher communicating with you is watching from the moon. Grian and Gem implying she's watching over them from the moon after she died in session 7. Is there some kind of correlation between Pearl's whole moon thing and the Watchers? Trying to think. I mean, also, just to clarify, by the way, we do make some of this up on the fly. Chat can attest to that. Like, we end up writing stuff that we think just simply sounds cool and for the bit. But this kind of doubles back to Last Life, should I say. So back in Last Life, we had it where the Watchers were trying to influence character Martin that he should create essentially moles in every single camp. And we were basically going to be a shadow collective, a shadow group. And then the big twist and reveal at the end would be multiple betrayals and like the majority of the server being like, oh my fucking God, you betrayed me. And the idea was that we were worshipping the moon. The moon was more so a symbol, but I do kind of like the idea that the moon is kind of, the moon and the sun, I suppose, in this regard, are kind of like a watchful eye in the sky. Like it's almost like a what would you call it? Like, you know, kind of submarine, you have like the windows. I feel like there's a proper word for it. Like the viewport, the view hole of sorts. So I like the idea that that is kind of the window into the world. And then I would say maybe only the Watchers can actually go through and get more of a fly around 360 view in the same way that you see them grant spectator mode to the players once they've died. So yeah, Truman Show. Yeah, I guess kind of, actually. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, I like the idea that that's that. And because Tango and Pearl were out the series a lot earlier than other people, then they can just simply watch through the moon and through the sun. I think that's cool. I like that. It doesn't necessarily even have to be line of sight. It's more just a symbolic eye in the sky, if you will. So yeah, I like that. I think that works. Like a periscope. Yeah, I guess kind of. The moon and sun act as a Did somebody say porthole? I feel like I saw that word. Into the world. That eliminated players ahead of the finale can watch through. I think that's fun. I like that. Let's jot that one down. I'd basically have a Word document which summarizes all of my lore stuff, basically. It's not public or anything because there's stuff in there that is like trial ideas or potentials that I will do in the future. But yeah, so I like that one. Let's have a look. Do listeners also feed on emotions? And if they do, wouldn't freeing the players kill them all? No, not necessarily. No, the players just simply exist as they are. I wouldn't even necessarily say that I think it's a bit like Pokemon in a way. I wouldn't even necessarily say that they are killed each time in the games. They refer to it as killing one another, the players, but it's very much like a, Pokemon faints, or you go into the spectator and then eventually back into the void to be slowly healed, I suppose, ready for the next game, which is how I've explained previously how some players have seasons off is because they're not ready to come back. You know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. Does lore affect the gameplay? Is the live series more like a role play or going with the flow and creating the story afterwards? The latter. Yeah, 100% the latter. The only time I've ever let the story influence the gameplay was when I was trying to do the whole have a mole in each camp. That was something that I came up with narratively and implemented in world, but I never referred to it as the watchers or the listeners or whatever. It's just, it was something that I thought could be fun to try and do. And obviously it didn't work, but yeah, 99% of the time we play the series out as it exists. And then I will do these live streams afterwards where we write all the stuff up, which is good. No gruesome final deaths are. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're on like 1%. So they'll be there. They'll be bleeding out or whatever else it may be. They lose consciousness, but then snap. They get plucked out of existence for a moment and saved and salvaged somewhat. So they still experience all of the I guess like the trauma and the sort of hopelessness of dying and everything. Because again, that's something that the watchers would love to feed on, isn't it? That's what they would like to do. What's going on with the watcher symbol turning into bedrock over time? Honestly, I don't know. Like, it's something that Grian did with the first few, and I didn't know whether that was a prompt for us players to then do the remainder of them, and then something cool might happen. I don't know if Grian was like, oh, okay, well, this is a series that's inspired by Evo. That's where the watcher listener stuff came about. He was doing loads of like Evo merch and stuff like that and stuff. I thought there was going to be more this season in regards to the watcher listener stuff, which is why I didn't try and do anything mid-season. And we're only having this conversation post-season is because I didn't want to contradict anything for the audience. Like if people are only watching from Grian's perspective, for example, I didn't want to be saying or doing anything that would cause any additional confusion. But that's why I stole all of the obsidian from the remainder of the portal, just to see whether I could trigger something, because it's something that I'd noticed had happened. You know what I mean? So yeah. It went full bedrock in the last episode. So somebody had asked me that, and I didn't know whether it had. I don't think I ever got back around to checking on it. But yeah. I thought the obsidian was because he needed it at the time. I mean, it very much was, but they obviously decided behind the scenes that they were going to turn it into bedrock. That's obviously not a player place block, is it? That was very much... That would have been done on instruction from Grian to the devs. How do you think the watchers reacted to you this season? You take on a different approach versus how you were in limited life. Did I though? I don't know. Different in what way? Because I feel like compared to limited life, I was also only on a 2-person team. I was very absent for a lot of it, just always running around. Like, I didn't have that much FaceTime with Cleo throughout the whole series. I backed Cleo up, don't get me wrong, and much like I backed up Scott as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it was all that different. It's right. I think there was more similar than people think. You were more passive rather than violent. I think a lot of that probably boiled down to me being so low on lives. I couldn't afford to be as aggressive as I maybe usually am, because I would really like to get every episode out for however long the series runs so that I can actually pay my bills. That's very much an IRL meta reason as to probably why I was playing a bit more, you know, gently than usual. So yeah. That one, hi, bye, was the cutest thing in the universe. I just wanted to say, yeah, I was making my way back over to the base to do the outro with them and just came across them at that corner and just, it was just natural. It's what came out. Would you have sacrificed yourself for a Cleo win? Yeah, I reckon so. I mean, people have already noticed that I was...
Oh. Life games is a result of the listener's interference we implied happened in wildlife. Like they littered this game in glitches the watchers usually wouldn't allow. A few players exhibiting red life tendencies.
Can you hear that, by the way, chat?
Boogie players being more bloodthirsty. The Canary/Phoenix getting to the finals twice. The Moon getting taken out early in the game. A double victor. There are other things, but your character's eyes wouldn't know about it.
Hold on, let me process that again. Do you think the series, this series of the life games is a result of the listener interference we implied happened in wildlife? Did we imply that happened in wildlife? It's a bit quiet. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. I can turn it up. It's just all my other alerts will then be super duper loud. Yeah, I do very much think that there is some, very much some listener interference happening now. So, I mean, it's a bit of a skip forward to the end of the whole series into the final bit, but I saw people theorizing that the other voice or the disruptor, if you will, the interrupter, during the poem at the end of the episode is the listeners, and it is. So the watchers are there doing their thing, and then all of a sudden they go to say, "I will be," and they get cut off partway through, and then it's don't. What was it again? Because that's the thing. I saw somebody ask me a question about like, I'm really interested to know in your writing, like your writing methods for the poems that you do. And I swear to God, chat, I literally sit there, I put on this stupid voice effect, I put on
this one, and I just play some ominous music, and I just talk shit
for like a couple minutes. And I just ad-lib random sentences. I freestyle it, and occasionally there'll be something that pops out that I'm like, oh, that's quite cool. Oh, how did my brain come up with that? 99% of the time, I like have no idea. Like, I obviously I know what the overarching story of it all is. So there's like a direction to travel down, but I don't have any crazy wordplay in mind initially. I might tidy it up afterwards to do little bits and stuff, but yeah, so basically if I pull up the video so you can see it, where is it? So yeah, so a couple of things here actually. So one of the things is I went after the previous winners first, because, you know, having a new winner would be quite nice. Like, I didn't go for Grian quite so soon after, but then I saw Timmy go across, and I was like, yeah. I was going to keep pressuring Grian here, but I thought all deaths would be cooler at the square hole. I wanted the square hole to feed. And then when Grian wasn't back yet, I was like, oh, okay, we'll do the fight there. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I've got to play to win because it's down to me and Grian. Loads of people pointed out first death of the series and last death of the series are literally... Oh, this one's crazy, by the way. Listen to this. Fight is on the way, dear. Right, so fight is on the way, dear. And then I went back into my footage and checked. I do not hear Grian say this. See where I'm going. There it is. There it is. I don't hear Grian say this because I fell down too quickly.
Oh no, that's help is on the way, dear.
What are the chances? What are the chances we both... It's not even from the same movie. It's the fact it's the same line.
It's in the square hole! Hold on, I'm coming back. Help is on the way, dear.
You literally hear my voice go out of range.
It's in the square hole! Hold on, I'm coming back. Help is on the way.
Look, you hear, I can't even see where I'm going. And then it drops off in the word going, and then he then shouts,
Hey, dear.
help is on the way, dear.
I could.
Yeah! Oh, mine's still alive.
Mental. How crazy is that? How crazy is it that, like, that was just
Died.
how it all went?
Clutch the victory.
Can't believe it.
Oh, no,
I thought you did it on
that's
purpose. No, I
embarrassing.
never heard him say
Are
that.
you going to come down? Are you coming down or no?
I can come down, yeah.
Okay. Wait, you got to bucket clutch it though. I had to do that.
That's not how I'm...
You've already got out the border.
I don't know about it.
You and Grian are literally the same guy in different font.
All right, let's see
Somewhat.
what we got.
We'll watch this just because I've not watched it
There he is.
in a week or two.
That'll do. No, nice.
I can't believe how many
Oh,
like
corner.
fellow
Oh,
creators
damn.
reached out to
No,
me
I'm
saying they
actually
watched the
using it.
finale and enjoyed it and stuff like that. That was quite sweet.
Nice. Oh my. Get
Also, my
rolled.
fighting was horrific here. Grian had a loaf of bread for a shield for the first like 4 hits, and he still basically killed me.
There he is.
Look, it's got bread, it's got bread, it's got bread. 3 hits,
Corner. Oh, damn.
4 hits.
No, I'm
Now
not
the
sure.
shield's out. Like
Oh,
crazy.
nice. Oh my. Get rolled. I can't even see where I'm going. There it is. There he is. Oh,
He's so silent.
Yeah. To the corner. To the corner. Psych. Follow him up. Oh my god, it did it. Oh my god, it actually did it. Holy.
Once I saw how cinematic your last few minutes were, I knew you
moly,
won.
the square hole has to
I mean,
eat.
I would
The
probably
square
do
hole
that. I
has
think
to
if I'm ever in the final fight, I will probably do that.
feed for the end
There'll
of
be that extra bit of spice if I win, but I think if I'm ever in the final fight, I will probably do that.
the day though. Oh my god.
The site looks
Bye.
so cool from Grian's POV. Let's have a look. I've not really seen his POV.
Highly im-
Oh, corner.
Oh yeah, let me see what the fight looks like here.
Yes!
That'll do.
No.
Nice.
So 2 heart. Oh gosh.
Corner. Oh.
Also, even Nettie pointed it out to me that we were fighting and eating bread instead of mutton. But like, yeah, I had mutton, but I don't think I thought about it. I'd been eating bread so consistently the whole season that my mind was just locked into like, you know, grain.
You know what? I've got a shield. I should use it. Oh. Nice. Oh my. Get rolled. I can't even see where I'm going. There it is. There he is. Oh. Yeah.
Oh, God, the fact he chased me on heart and a half. That's such a good scream.
Ah.
My brother kept yelling that no one was eating. I think the moment you try to eat, you'd be dead. The other person would just pounce.
Explaining to do the jam.
And also, it's the final fight. We weren't going to try and like gapple through it and all this sort of stuff. It'd make it long-winded. We were at the end of a very long recording session. We were knackered.
Where is she?
But yeah. So let's go to the poem bit.
Feel sick at the end of the day. Know what to do.
There's a whole bit. I don't know if I've mentioned this. There's a whole bit here where I'm going up the ladder. Where I was like, actually, in fact, you know what? I can just play it for you, right? But there's a whole bit, and I noticed that everybody got rid of it. I think maybe just because there's no point fanning the flames. But I'm pretty sure everyone who was in ghost mode flying around there at that moment, I don't think it landed in a single POV. I'm just to warn you, it's not anything super exciting, so don't get too stoked. Oh gosh, where is it? Where's the end? Is that it? Where is it? Yeah, I guess if I grab this one here. So there we go.
Follow him up. Oh my god, it did it. Oh my god, it actually did it. Holy moly, the square hole has to eat. The square hole has to feed for the end of the day, though. Oh my god. I feel sick. I don't know what to do. Everything off. The square hole winneth at the end of the day. Oh, why does it stop there? Drag it out more. Tally it up as an equal kill. Oh, this was it, yeah. Everything off. The square hole winneth at the end of the day. Tally it up as an equal kill for all 3 villies on the wiki. Thank you very much when I hit this stalactite, even though I placed the stalactite myself, but shut up. And let's get ourselves down here. Hold on. Whoop. 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 All right. I guess at the end of the day, I really was Captain America. Cheers for watching. Hopefully we see you next time.
Bye-bye. So, yeah. But I thought, you know what? There's enough shit going on with all that. It's silly stuff. But yeah, so there you go. Anyway, let's get back to the old everything off. The square hole winneth at the end of the day. Cheers for watching. I just felt like it just broke the fourth wall too much at the end.
Echoes ripple, counting more. Ancients lurking by our door.
So, interpretations of those first few lines there, like what was chat thinking about that? Because I've seen a couple different takes of it on like Twitter, Tumblr, all that sort of stuff. Like, what's your thoughts on it thus far? Ooh. Hold on, let me take the print screen of this. That was a really long comment. I'm just going to make sure that I actually get a copy of it. There we go. Listeners are at the door. Yeah, basically, yeah. So basically saying ancients are the council. Yeah, I think ancients was just like a flavor word that I added in.
Less kills than the secret society.
God, I don't know. You check the wiki. I have no idea. I'm pretty sure the square hole got something like 11 kills in the end or something, right? Was that right? And obviously it was like an octo kill on the ladder climb thing. So ancients is just like a broad categorization of the, you know, the watchers, the listeners, and other council beings and people of that plane. It's not the name for them. It's just a descriptor because they've existed for bloody ages. You know what I mean? It's literal, like a literal time reference. So more ground has been gained by the listeners. Yes, very much so.
Refute their reach.
And this is basically the watcher saying, like, the listeners are here, they're reaching in, but don't go along with them.
That's not in one.
And it's almost like, to an extent, the players are kind of gaining that awareness and they're starting to understand the meta situation that they're in and may soon be able to not so much open the door, but at least attune to the listeners being there. And it's now beginning this balance.
Or feel our wrath.
And then basically a blind threat from them. Now, this is not how it was supposed to look.
Our will be. Don't underestimate connection.
But I actually really like that it messed up. So that's not how it looked originally. Like if I pull back up the project, those subtitles just like looked cool. But then when I rendered the video, I didn't have much time between rendering it and then putting it up onto YouTube, so I couldn't fix it. But because there is that disruption by the listeners and there's that kind of friction and that kind of like breaching of the walls, so to speak, there being distortion on the text, I think actually does kind of work. Like it was one of those kind of like happy accidents thematically. Because I don't know whether I can even show you what it was supposed to look like. Where was it?
Our will.
Yeah, because look, when you see it here, it doesn't look remotely like that.
Our will be. Don't underestimate connection.
See what I mean? It looks normal, but then it has this like intense blur on the final version. I don't know why. It's just how it turned out.
Our will.
I like how the purple goes away. Yeah, so basically it goes from the Watcher purple. It then oh yeah, because when you pause, then it gets all bloated. Yeah, it goes more to like this kind of soft, sort of yellow, whitish kind of color.
Underestimate connection.
So yeah, that color change was very much intentional, like a sandy yellow. Yeah.
Was intentional genius storytelling by having the text distorted by the signals crashing.
Well, I guess what it was I could have, if I really wanted to, I could have taken time. I mean, where I won, people would want to see the winner's POV, you know, at any point. So I could have gone in to try to fix it, but I don't even necessarily know what the solution is. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's in the effects, because it's showing final result, and then reflections alone. Like I don't know what causes it to look so different in the final video. Really bizarre. But yeah, it was a conscious choice to keep it, I suppose. So yeah, so we've got echoes, ripple, counting more. And the echoes as well is, I saw someone mention a second ago in the comments that like it was to do with the fact that there have been many seasons and stuff like that. And that is partly true, but there's another layer to it, which I don't... Basically, I'm at the point with the story now where I don't really know where to go from here with it. Like, we've got this breach and we've got this disruption, but I just don't know how I want to do it. VTuber connection, yeah, that is part of it, which we'll discuss in a moment. But yeah, the data stream stuff. So anybody not familiar, this is the watcher-listener story, and I've said for a while that there is some kind of connection between the stories, unless I've not said that, and then maybe I've just said it for the first time. But the stories are connected, and I just don't think I've ever... I have said it before, okay, yeah. But I've never really gone too into detail about it. I keep saying I really want to do a comic, but I've just not gotten around to it. But I think this is the first step now towards being like, yeah, we really should make a comic. Like, because this is happening, and you'll see something in a minute which hard confirms it. I think that's what it is. In this video, it's the first hard confirmation that the stories are linked. So yeah.
Echoes ripple.
So this has a bit more
Counting
meaning
more.
to it, which will make sense later on, I
Ancients
suppose.
lurking by our door. Refute their reach. Let not in one, or feel our wrath. Our will be. Don't underestimate connection.
Now, what really bugs me here is that on that moment there, I should have had... let me find it. There's a very particular sound effect that I think because I was rushing and I was really up against time, I forgot to put this one in. I really wanted this sound effect in here. Maybe if I could play it at the same time. Hold on.
Connection. Fractured parallels.
Oh, so it's a bit too quick, but basically this sound here is what I wanted. That sound, which comes from the VTuber, thing. And also where it says, like, don't underestimate connection, this is the connection. This is the connection that it's referring to. That was the first foothold, the first ground gained by it. And by the way, as much as I say I improv a lot of the stuff, this whole thing, the whole connection between the data stream and the live series has been intentional from pretty much the get-go. I designed the VTuber around the pre-existing live series story that was unfolding. So yeah, so that one's not just done on a whim. That was all intentional. But yeah, so you got that. And then let's have a look.
Fractured parallels.
So then there's a bit more to this fractured parallels. What do you interpret as the fractured parallels being?
Imperfections.
And I suppose imperfections as well. I'm just going to see what chat's reaction is. Does the VTuber think that the other players in the live series are NPCs? They're not the same. They're not. They're in completely different planes, I suppose, is the best way to phrase it, without saying too much. But yeah, the live series players have never met Data Stream Martin. Whether that's saying too much or not, I don't know, but still. It makes me think of the fragments. I don't know. Parallels to teams and other series. I mean, I guess to be fair, this fractured parallels, there's numerous meanings to it.
Parallels. Imperfections.
It's sort of the fractures and the parallels and the echoes is all kind of bundled into one meaning of sorts.
Can always use more subscribers.
Threads entangled bind you all.
I'll be real with you. I don't really have much lore or reasoning behind that one. That one just sounds cool. I think the only part of me that thought about the only thought that I had on that line was I think my improv brain was trying to come up with a line for having won when I was team with Cleo after previously been attached or bound to Cleo back in Double Life. That was kind of where my head was at with that line. I don't think it has much wider. I don't feel as though I was trying to gun for anything else there. That was more just an acknowledgement of the Lost Gen. Why were your flashbacks before the final fight of the pyramid, the lighthouse, and Ren's grave? Are those part of your data stream defender lore? Were they connected to shards, or were they just important? To be honest, I just ran out of shots, and I tried doing shots of the Pokeball and our little house and even our faces, but they didn't, because I always knew that the countdown would end with my face, and just the pyramid just really stood out. I think the shaders really help it look like it has a glow and a presence and stuff. So that one was kind of more a Martin in the editing booth situation.
Seek not to see and heed our call.
And then seek not to see but heed our call. I saw some people saying like, oh, well, if they're doing a call, then that must be the speakers. And it's like, no, it's just heed our call is more use your ears. Heed our call is listen. So yeah. And then the shush was actually really intentional. So when I was going back through the wiki from the Evo SMP, I was just looking through like the old books and stuff that were written. And I completely forgot that I used to write shush on the final page of stuff. So that was a callback to the Evo writing scheme, I suppose. That was almost trying to like hard confirm that was the listeners for people that knew the details. You know what I mean? So yeah. And then of course, much like Limited Life, fragment protected. And then there's the glitch. So let's go to the glitch real quick. We'll freeze frame it. So the glitch is distorted text and some of the characters are changed. And basically there will be people in chat that know what that is. Yeah, it's basically the cipher which is used in the data stream world, generally by the Chest Corporation on a lot of their technology. So it is a Pigpen cipher, but it's an altered Pigpen cipher in that I've just scrambled the letters and what each of them mean so that I could do a more sort of gradual reveal of the alphabet. But I think potentially now the whole alphabet might be revealed, I think. I actually can't remember. Like I had a document which was the alphabet as I understood it. And I think I had one at the end of Rats 1, which was like, oh, okay, so at the end of Rats 1, these are the letters that were revealed. And when I do the comic, then I'll reveal the final one of that. Is it K that's left? Potentially. But I mean, if there's only one letter left, you can just fill the blank. You know what I mean? I don't think you need a hard confirmation of it. Like if the whole rest of the alphabet is there, then that's that. But yeah, but this like distorted text and all of this is like the first, I think, in like any media that I've put out from both the VTuber stuff and from the live series, that confirms that the stories are connected and are intertwined. So yeah, basically that's what's going on there. So yeah, pretty cool. Do the listeners also feed on emotions? Are their intentions purely altruistic? I can't remember what their word altruistic means. Let's have a look. Altruistic, define. Showing a disinterest and selfless concern for the well-being of others. Yeah, I mean, the listeners basically do what they've always done. They basically just do, they just feed on a broad range of emotions. So much so that it doesn't affect the players in any meaningful way. They take a little bit from every person in existence, which is enough to satiate them. You know what I mean? Yeah, grazers rather than specialists, but the problem is specializing like the Watchers do has impacts. It affects the soul, I guess, is the most blunt way of putting it, which is why what the Watchers are doing is not approved of by the council, and it's why the listeners have taken it upon themselves to try and stop what they're doing. So yeah. Hold on, where's my music? Where's my background music? There it is. Play. Is Grian the only known named watcher? Yeah, so from my little story, I know a lot of people always want to say like, oh, Martin's a listener and Timmy's a listener and all these other people are listeners and watchers. Grian is the only person in this storyline who has been plucked out and basically given ascension to have that capability. Everybody else is merely like overseen and overlooked and hopefully protected by the listeners and other such factions and stuff like that. You mentioned that the players haven't met Data Stream Martin yet. Does that imply the live series Martin and Data Stream Martin are different? Yeah, they are. Well, yes and no. I know that's a really wanky answer to give, but it's when I eventually fully pop the lid on this thing, they are separate, but they aren't. Like I said, there's connections, which I want to elaborate on eventually, but just maybe not necessarily right now. But I think I've seen a lot of people already sort of guessing at what the connection is or in what way this all works and stuff like that. Where would the character Martin's fragment for past life have been on his body? Ooh, that's a good one. Because the fragment has been protected, so it doesn't necessarily it doesn't necessarily have a location, right? Why is it everybody saying on the back? What's with the influx of people saying on the back? Do we have the list of the locations already? I feel like we had a list of them, right? Of where each one is. Let's see. Where is it? I feel like we had a list somewhere. The ring finger would be sick. I mean, I'll be honest with you, where I was imagining it being, because where does he have them currently? I need that list. Where's the list of where they are at the moment? If I type in the word cheek, no, I know. I'm trying to think of where else the other ones are so I can find them in my document, but maybe I don't have them listed here. It's on your Tumblr. Oh god, good luck finding that. Oh wait, we've got under the eye, on the back, over the heart, hand which was protected, neck/throat, and ear. And the one on the chest is in some of the...
The Crystal IP Guild mentioned a crazy theory. Could be Grian ate away ate their code to get Mumbo, as they said, to seek comfort, because think of it, he's in a world resembling one that led to a great change in his life. Maybe he wanted comfort from someone who wouldn't take advantage of his weakness later in the game by seeking someone not in the game.
Not sure. I think that's basically just the watchers. I think Mumbo just has a different temperament to the other players. There's not as much bloodthirst in him as a persona, as a person. So whenever he's in the death games, it takes more of a toll on him, which is why he goes back into the void for the healing process and can be brought out sporadically to fill in for players when need be, is the way that I've always sort of phrased it. Is it more like live series Martin hasn't become data stream Martin or vice versa? That no, I could say that's not how it is. There isn't a timeline where one becomes the other or one is a product of the other. That's not the right trail to follow. Why do you think they made Scott Boogie 4 times? Do they still hate him just as much as they used to, or is he forgiven now? I think probably part of it is trying to make trying to give Boogie to a player that's like more, I guess, like combat savvy, for one. I think also him rejecting to even participate as Boogie back in Last Life has still left a sour taste in their mouths. So I think they were like, oh, you don't want to do it now, do you? Well, do it 4 fucking times. Go on. So I think that was part of it as well. And also Scott is exasperated every time and like, I hate this. I don't want to do this every time that he gets it. So that is kind of what I think they're doing. Yeah, they're trying to break him, as Arrows said. Nice. Nice. I just had a little picture from Skiz. Little picture of us. Oh wait, you guys can't see that, can you? Hold on, that screen. Ta-da! Little picture from Skiz of the fact we're going to be on there. I love that this thumbnail is the one of me as a ghost flying along from that one Ace Race video that I did. That's funny. Not necessarily lore, but a character question. What is character Martin's deal with Scott? From the jealousy of his relationship with Jimmy / Cleo in Third Life SMP and Double Life SMP to the Watchers pushing Martin to kill Scott in the final Last Life to allying, betraying him in Limited Life. Martin's thought when Cleo died being here to kill Scott specifically. I'm so interested in that complicated relationship. I think it's just that they are two of the stronger PvPers in the world. I think it's kind of what is at play there. And I think there's room for... I think probably it's a part paranoia on Martin's side. Like, character Martin, I think, has this paranoia that at any moment Scott could turn and keeps him kind of at arm's length, but kind of draws him in a little bit and basically doesn't want to see him succeed because he's already so strong that giving him any kind of, you know, army or camp could really spiral out of control and he could very easily lose ground in it all. You know what I mean? Is there a lore reason for Jimmy recognizing that Tango was replaced? I mean, I guess just Double Life, right? That's probably the easiest way to describe that. That had fallen into the similar bracket of Joel recognizing Lizzie, not necessarily from a Double Life connection, but, you know, when two people are tied together in that kind of way, they can recognize each other constantly. You know what I mean? Oh gosh, wait, hold on. Let me scroll down there like that. There we go. Do you think all the creeper close calls was the Watchers trying to do you in like they did with Tango? Also, is it possible that the listeners protected character Martin somewhat to save him from some of those close calls? Yes. So that was one of the things I wanted to touch on. I would love to make it like canon in this story that, you know, when we were in the final episode and there was the thing where I tried throwing the Ender Pearl, it didn't work and it stayed there and it was emitting all the stuff and arrows were freezing midair, wind charges kept glitching backwards and forwards. Like, that was all playing into the finale and the listeners actually started to have a tangible, real effect on the world. Before, it was only they only had a capability to kind of unconsciously commune with character Martin, albeit very briefly. But again, there's that whole disruption. There's that disruption to the world. It's like the games are being impacted, the games are being disturbed by the listeners. And it starts off with small things like entity control. There was even, I don't know if it was left in the video, but aside from that, there was a lot of stuff where like mobs just simply stopped moving. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know where that would be in the recorded file.
Oh, he was over that. Let's go.
I guess it was closer towards the end. I'm just looking through the video file now. What? Look at Adam. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Different. Ow! We're trying to chase Scar. Where is it? I'm pretty sure it was when I was on my way up to go build the square hole, I think. Oh no, it was nighttime when I noticed it. But basically all the mobs in that similar radius also froze. So basically entities like, you know, your projectiles and stuff like that were kind of frozen. But also the mobs had stopped as well. So I like the idea that, because blocks and everything were working elsewhere and entities were working elsewhere, I like that that was almost like a small area of sorts, like a small square or circular radius that the listeners actually had some degree of control in. So not the whole 500 by 500 border or 800, whatever it happens to be, but like a 20 block radius, they were actually able to do something for once. And it's going to be this, hopefully, a tug of war, a shifting of the scales, like a little poke hole. Yeah. So that the listeners can finally, do something, which is pretty cool. Did Scar tell you anything about his lore? So I've seen a few comments about this. Let's look at Scar's episode. Nobody has ever spoken to me about any lore stuff. The only time that's happened was in Wildlife. Lizzie asked me whether she could have the whisper sound effects, so that when she used flashback mod to go into first person view inside the snails, she wanted the whisper sounds to be in there to kind of like somewhat canonize the watcher listener stuff in her POV, even or almost just like a gentle nod to it. But she didn't end up getting to do that. But yeah, let's have a look. Scar. Let's have a look. I'm not seeing it. So is it at the dead end of his episode, is it? Because I've not seen any of this yet. I know that in the previous season he said something about like tending to his garden or flowers or something like that. But let's have a nosy. For real. Oh wait, rewind.
God, Scott! Oh my God!
Time for the end to go.
Oh my God, Scott! Oh my God! No! No! That's how I went out? Oh my God! That's how I go out, boys? Etho?
He's gonna respawn back at
B-dubs? Are you kidding me? That's how I go out? Oh, that's so frustrating. Oh man. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the cabin core and the Firewatch Tower and past life, and we'll see you, well, back in the next season. And well, I gotta head back to the sunflower fields.
Ooh, this is like lore. But no, okay, so
You're all here today because
I've not seen that before. That's cool though. I like it. It's pretty cool. So the sunflower fields refers to is a reference to his base, right? From Secret Life, which is the one that he won. But yeah, it's a very brief reference. I don't think it layers anything new into it compared to before. It's more, it almost feels like it's more just like an acknowledgement of where he goes to. I like the idea that it's like almost like somewhere he goes. So like, you know, when the watchers, once the game is over and everybody's died, they're put back into this kind of like floating void. They're put into a dream state of sorts. I like the idea that the sunflower fields is almost like Scar's happy place. It's where he goes. And while the slow repairs are happening, the slow recovery is happening to his soul, that is like kind of what Scar is imagining. So the time passes like that for him, or at least not like that, but going from that world over to the sunflower field happens instantaneously or very close to it. And the time in the sunflower field doesn't feel that long, even if it could potentially be, you know, decades between or something like that. For him, it passes in a very brief window of time. So it's almost like, I don't know, maybe even like him tending to the sunflowers, like when each one blooms or something, that's him repairing himself subconsciously or something like that. You know what I mean? It's done in like kind of a creepy, haunting kind of way, but I don't know. I like the idea that that maybe that's something that's going on, or it is a nightmare. Yeah. I mean, either way, it's almost like he's put into a dream state while he's in a state of repair. And that's just particularly where he ends up. Which I think could be a viable way of doing it. He doesn't like the sunflower fields. Okay, so he is just put in a nightmare state, which kind of makes sense, right? Like if the Watchers are trying to perpetuate this like upset and this like discomfort, then that could be it. So let's do that. Let me put in Scar's sunflower lore is where his mind goes when he's back in the void, in the state of repair. It allows the Watchers to lightly but slowly still feed on negative emotions of his. Nice. I like that. That's a cool little nugget to add in there. Is it lore that Scott failed Boogie, not trying to kill, so he gets tormented with it? Tango failed but tried to kill, so they killed him off after being a failed red. Somewhat, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I guess you could say that. Like they spawned a creeper in the world that could walk over towards him. I don't think they ever will just specifically drop a creeper onto somebody unless it's in a reasonable location like the ravine. But sure, like we can imagine that they spawned the creeper nearby because they knew it would toddle over towards him.
Lives in the void, could he be a void walker? Also love that people keep bringing up that the Watchers show favoritism towards Scar in this series. You know, their winner's still pacing around in his world in Secret Life. Like an example, him being the scapegoat for the secret society and getting Boogie next session and almost getting an octa kill. The ruined Evo symbol resembling his skin's smile. Other examples, but these are the ones I can name on the top of my head.
I mean, I think the Evo symbol resembling his skin smile is a bit of a stretch, but I do like the idea that the Secret Life winner ended up becoming the scapegoat, like you said, for the secret society. There's a fun little bit of wordplay and irony in that. That's quite good. I really like that you kind of avenged Lost Gluten by taking out the last people responsible for their deaths, Scott and Grian. Intentional or no, I appreciate the sentiment, considering the marriage and all. Did I take out Scott and Grian? I thought Jem took out Scott. Did Jem take out Scott? I obviously took out Grian, but I don't know about the rest. I don't know if anybody has already asked, but where character Jimmy, character Green, character Martin, character Pearl, character Big B, oh, sorry, but were they aware that past life was a direct nod to Evo, and therefore the Watchers fed off their negativity more than usual? I would probably say no. I was going into the season, I was very much anticipating that, and I was hoping that there would be more moments, for me, real life, like I would hear quotes or see things that would remind me of stuff happening back in Evo. So you remember in like the earlier episodes, there's like the I'm standing here, and there was a few other moments that I did as like little flashbacks and stuff. I wanted to do more of that through the season, but just those references didn't land with me. So I think my intent was yes, but the reality of it was no. It didn't go that way. Is there a law-based reason for why the person with the least or near least teammates usually wins? No, I think that's just the way it kind of goes in the warfare. People try to whittle down the bigger numbers, and usually it's a bit of a snowball effect. The bigger you are as a faction, the more people are going to target you because they see you having an unfair advantage. So yeah. Does the glitch in the fog for VTuber Martin have anything to do with the live series / what's been happening? Yes, it does. And again, that was very much by design. Like the way I wrote the ending of Rats 2, and the reason that I kind of scrapped doing the VTuber stuff for Cowboys was because I really liked how things synced up for that. I think that's one of those things that I'll elaborate on a bit more at a later date. But yeah, that is a moment, like a very key moment that I've been thinking about. Yeah, that's a moment of importance. In fact, I might even just write something down in my notes. There we go. I won't tell you what that is, but yeah. But yeah, those two moments, that moment is linked to past life specifically. Even though obviously one happened before the other, but it's one of those things. It's another one of those happy accidents. But I will elaborate on out on that eventually for sure. I think it will probably get to a point where there's only so much storytelling I can do in this kind of like meta format. It feels like I'm really drip feeding it, even though I don't necessarily want to. But it's because I don't have a medium in which I want to share the story like fleshed out, and I haven't even thought that far ahead. Glitch in the fog, yeah. So just to clarify, at the end of Rats 2, I told the story about how I imagined I sent everybody off on the boat and parted ways with Captain Jean-Luc.
My favorite is still you being the bad dog in Secret Life. Bark, bark.
Big dogs, ho ho. But yeah, basically, so the story that I imagined in my head was that we all left the apart hotel. We went down into the streets of Paris with the, what was it, a matchbox, I think it was, as a boat. And I set it going and I pushed it off the shore and I jumped straight off the boat. And as the boat is setting off into the distance, into the fog, I basically waved goodbye to Ren Rat and everybody else, and basically saying like, have a great time, but I've still got something to do here, which was to go back and look for the what was it called? What are they called? The shards. What do they call the shards? Loot shards. That's it. Bloody hell. And basically, as I'm walking away from the pier and running into the streets of Paris, I get into a really dense bit of fog, and then basically for a moment there's like a weird kind of digital glitch thing that's happening, and it brings him down to his knees, and he's like really grabbing onto his chest, and he's not quite sure what's going on. Like, he doesn't know whether it's like, I mean, he's not a real person at that point. He's all digitized, but it almost feels like a panic attack, heart attack, something cardiac essentially. And it passes just as quickly as it comes, but it scares the life out of him. And then I've not written about what happens after that point. But yeah, so there's that. Do the watchers have anything against Impulse, or just people who haven't won? No, I don't think so. Not massively. They like to tease people by like trying to have parallels, or not parallels, have repetition of things that might really irk them. So for example, like, you know, the canary curse for Timmy for a while was something they were doing to toy with him and play with him. Feels like Tango's become somebody new that they keep trying to pick on with different things. So yeah.
The money is here.
So happy you teamed with Cleo.
Yeah.
You two are one of my favorite duos. Smile, wondering if you had any lore thoughts on your team up.
Nothing major. Like, aside from the fact we were linked together in Double Life, I mean, that's about as big of a narrative thread or a lore thread that you could really weave, isn't it? Like, it's pretty good. It's pretty great. Also, I've seen a lot of people asking about my, like, celestial whatever. Like, I need to put it out there. That is very much your guys' territory. Like, people have decided that they want to associate the winners with different cosmic symbols or whatever else. And there's always been quite a lot of debate around mine specifically. And then the fact that I've now won a second time, I've seen people talking about changing it to Mars and all these other sorts of things, but that's just like not something I'm weaving into my story, and it's not something that I have too much like interest in, or no, interest is not the right word, but I don't have any major opinions on it. Like, it's cool and it's nice to have that symbolism around and stuff like that, but people couldn't decide if I was the Earth, if I was a meteor, if I was this or if I was that. I don't know if I ever, before people like, I don't know if people ever even decided finally what I was. It felt like that was always still like up for debate among many people. I think we settled on Mars, and your two wins are Phobos and Deimos. What does that mean? Phobos, Deimos. What's that? Phobos and Deimos. Phobos and Deimos are two small, irregularly shaped moons of Mars, named after Greek mythological twin characters who personified fear and dread. Oh my fucking god. Dude, that links in so nice. The Mars moons and them being for fear and dread. And we were talking earlier on today about how the moons like are like a spy, like a viewing window or whatever into the world of it all. Yeah, that's pretty sick. Cool. I'm down with that. Again, happy accidents. Like, that just lines up perfectly, right? Phobos is the larger and inner moon, orbiting rapidly, while Deimos is smaller and orbits further out. Both are thought to be captured asteroids.
To winning? Like time is delicious versus I feel sick?
Wait, that's
Was
another...
there anything in particular that was making C. Martin react like that?
Sorry, I'll respond to that in a second. It then says, both are thought to be captured asteroids, but their origins are still debated. Imagine if they are. So the fact that people were even speculating that I could be an asteroid or a meteor or whatever, and then now we've got fear and dread, and we've got the moons and like that. See what I mean? It just click, 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 click. It all just clicks together. And that's something you guys have been doing completely separate to me. And then I just waffle a bit today and improv some stuff. Like, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I mean, I'm going to write this down, like, but I don't know how or if I will work it into the story. Phobos and Deimos.
There's a theory that the reason that Scar is still stuck in Secret Life was because Lizzie fell into the void and didn't actually die, so Scar can't really win Secret Life because he can't kill her. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think him hating the sunflower fields and him being caught and trapped there may not be a lot of truth in it, but it's the truth that they've implied to him. Does that make sense? So the fact that he keeps going back there kind of implies that, like, you know, she probably did die and it was game over and he definitely won, but they keep putting him back there and they make him think that he's trapped there because of that circumstance. Again, it's one of those things. For them, it's a happy accident. And I like the idea of that that's just their way of, like, torturing him a little bit. Characters who personify dread and fear. Perfect for the moon stuff. I mean, I guess as well, that also kind of ties it back to the last life stuff of looking through the moon. And like worshipping the moon in last life. That could all tie together. Does it break it if I then win a third series? Also, can we talk about the fact that, like, I'm not the first double winner? Like, really? Like, everyone keeps calling me the first double winner, but, like, Scott is, right? Like, the series was double life. They were connected. Like, Scott won last life and double life. Like, Scott... Wait. Scott won last life, right? Last life SMP. Am I going crazy? I thought Scott won last life. Yeah. So Scott won last life and he won double life. I don't understand how people are calling me the first double winner. Her won double life. I mean, like, on the broad stretch of his name comes up as dying in the console first or whatever, but, like,
I like how there
I
were
don't know,
people
man.
hoping for Etho to win this series and him getting taken out early in the last session. Like maybe he was meant to, but the watchers didn't want predictability, so he was taken out. Then people point out how you won both series relating to time, limited with its theme of time relating to your lifespan and past relating to not only Evo but your ability to adapt to the changes introduced throughout each update.
Sorry, let me read that again. The watchers didn't want predictability, so he was taken out. Yeah, I can see that. The other question was, can you go into the drastically different reactions to winning? Time is delicious versus I feel sick. Yes, I can. Because in that moment, I wasn't the person that the watchers were basically trying to press on the emotions of. Are there any guesses in the final 5, as we're stood over the square hole, the big cross, Who were the watchers pressing their emotions on? Who were they focusing their attentions on?
It was a badass win, TBH.
Not Timmy. It was Gem. So in my again, this isn't me bullshitting. Like you can see it in the edit. Every time that Gem talks about, hey, why don't we fuck these guys up and have a new winner, like just you and me, basically ditching her alliance with Grian, wanted to team up with Timmy, the only non-winner, and then that in itself is already some sense of betrayal. That's why when Gem is saying those things, every time she says a quote like that, I had a pulse of the watcher eye come up on the screen, because that was essentially the strobing vignette that I had at the end of where was it? Let me pause this music.
What are you gonna say?
Jimmy, what are we doing here?
Look, here we go.
What do you mean?
These three have won. Me and you take them out. It's me for you.
So this is all intentional. That is what that was how lore-wise I was interpreting that moment. So that's the reason why when I actually win, there's not this time is delicious thing, because the watchers weren't there pulling the triggers and pressing the buttons on character Martin and sort of essentially like hijacking him for a moment, or very, very aggressively being present within his psyche.
Oh.
They were doing that with Gem in this.
Well, what do we see?
You guys wanted a new winner.
Oh, yeah, maybe Grian wants a repeat. Maybe Martin wants a repeat.
Don't scared the life out.
Do we let them have a repeat, Jimmy, or
And
do
again?
we take our moment?
Well, we
Look,
Try
really
as much
pushing
as
the
we
facts,
can.
really pushing the point, really like repeating that moment. Like I felt it in the moment when we were recording, and I was so glad that I had that same sense of like, oh, that's cool. You thought the eye blinking was just random. No, it is literally both times. As soon as Gem's like, we should kill them all, and it'd just be us two.
Jimmy, what
That's
are
the
we
watchers.
doing here?
What do you mean?
These three have won. Me and you take them out. It's
Look, me and you take them out, and then
Well, we the life out.
do we let them have a repeat, Jimmy, or do we take our moment?
Well, we try as much as we can.
I do honestly, until someone mentioned that, then I forgot that I'd put that detail
I
in.
love
But
the lore
yeah.
story so much.
that was very intentional on my part. So in this finale, Gem was the one that the watchers were really trying to steer and control and stuff like that. Like the two people that they would have done that to in that moment was Gem and Timmy, but I don't think they want Timmy to win just yet. I think they're happy for him to get even closer than ever before after having a success, like a sequence of like bad moments. Is that why Grian pushed her off, because he could sense the watcher's influence? Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. Like, and that's why the betrayal isn't that much of a betrayal, because, that's how it happened. He obviously has to go into ghost mode afterwards and apologize to Gem and this, that, and the other. But realistically, like, that's why Grian doesn't bring it up either when they're in ghost mode. So he starts groveling and like apologizing, but he doesn't go, oh, but wait, 2 minutes ago you were saying fuck us and we're going to have a new winner. Grian doesn't bring that up as a thing. He doesn't bring it up as reasoning. He sort of just takes it on the chin and just sort of says like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's playing it off so that Gem doesn't overthink that moment and question her own morality and choices in that encounter. He's almost trying to preserve that innocence. So yeah, so again, that's another one of those really cool things. So yeah. What was your fragment this season? It was healed, sure, but you had to have healed something. I'm trying to think of what it is. What was our list of stuff again? It was we've done hand was healed, and then I can't remember what the short list was. Back or ring. Oh my god, I've just broken that. How did I do that? Oh, I fixed it. Where was the list of them again? Oh, there it is. Oh, that comment's too long for me to read the reply of it. That's annoying. Can you copy paste that potentially? Unless I can go up. Oh, no, there we go. Let me just pop some music on for a sec. So it was third life was the cheek, tear from killing Ren and losing him in the final battle. Last life between the shoulder blades for being backstabbed. Double life was the chest over where the heart is, because of the life link. And then limited life, right hand protected. Secret life was the neck, the inability to speak / share secrets and dog collar. And then wildlife was the earlobe, the listening ability that I had. Yeah. So I would say that it is... Give me a second. I mean, part of me just wants to say that it's actually on the other chest, like on the other peck. So you've got the chest over the heart, which is the one from Double Life. And it was actually the other side that was going to go, but was actually cleansed. And there is a reason for that, which I'll like divulge later on, and it will make sense as well. Like there's already 2 titty scars, yeah. But yeah, there's a reason for that. It's because you were team with Cleo again, so it would be parallel to Double Life. I mean, we have been talking about parallels. We've been talking about parallels. That is part of the parallel thing just there. Yeah. If Live Series Martin and Data Stream Martin are separate entities, why does Data Stream Martin have scars that look like they came from the Live Series? That's for you to figure out. That's for you to figure out. I mean, to be honest, those scars that Data Stream Martin has were, I guess, the long-running confirmation that the 2 series were linked, that the two stories were connected. I've obviously done it now more blatantly through the cipher being existent here, but those scars have always been the alarm bells, the very blatant like, hey, there's something going on here. But again, it will make sense when I eventually unveil that. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, let me put in the thing about Gem was the one whose emotions were being pushed on in the square hole finale. Hence the difference in temperament for character Martin upon winning. Their wrath / hunger wasn't in his system at that time. That was just his own natural reaction. Nice. Got it. Technically, Scott is a triple winner. He won Last Life, was Soulbound to Pearl, and won Simple Life. Grian says third life was double victory, so Scar would count as a double victor too. Does he say he said? I think maybe it might. Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I suppose so. What is Data Stream Defender Martin's reaction to these scars? I feel like we don't have anything from him about it. That's true. Yeah, that is true. He sort of has just played it off so far, right? Like, he's had these scars that he bears, and he's just sort of spoken. He sort of blagged where they've come from. Like in Rats 1, he was coming up with a different story each time as to where the scars come from, but he does find them unsettling and isn't entirely sure where they come from. But it's something he's mindful of. He probably thinks that it's some kind of like fragmenting that's happening, or some kind of like instability that's happening with the technology that Docker's used to accidentally put him into the data stream. But I think he's decided not to dwell on it or not to linger on it because he doesn't want to psych himself out too much, because otherwise he'll just become unproductive and almost just freak out too much. So he's mindful of it, but doesn't want to give it too much thought. Fragment Wars Chapter 4. Yeah. Is there any lore on how Gem saved character Martin from the creeper in the finale? Maybe that kicked something into character Martin to save Grian that same time. No, I think that was just a normal Minecrafty interaction. Do you have any physical traits for the listeners? We know through Evo, the watchers canonically have wings. Is there something like that for the listeners? I'm just curious for art. I don't think so. I mean, you've seen the listeners, right? Or at least an apparition of them. I'll show you. Where are they? Where is it? Like this is the closest I've come to like visualizing the listeners so far. But it's remained intentionally vague. Why did I think there was another frame for that? Am I going mad? I thought there was another frame for that. I thought there was a frame from his first person perspective looking upwards at them. Let me check. I think there is. Maybe I just never used it? Where is it? Dropbox. File request, Carla. Colored frames. Am I going mad? Maybe I used it at the end of Limited Life. Is it in the Limited Life finale? Limited Life finale. So here we are then. Another week inside of Limited Life. Oh, I wasn't unmuted for this one. My bad.
10, 9.
I ended up having to like find a different alternative for this because the countdown thing was really cool that we did in Limited Life, but I didn't want to just reuse this for the countdown for the pre-fight or whatever it was. So I ended up, where is it? I'm trying to see if I can find it. Do I put it as one word? Countdown. Oh wait, spell it correctly. Countdown. No. Why does it keep changing the search to static? Oh, this is it. So this is literally just from the Epidemic Sound library. I just got lucky that there was an ethereal whisper available. I found this and I was like, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just typed in countdown on Epidemic Sound and that's what I got given. I was like, oh, that's good. But yeah, where's the listener visualizer? Where is it? Is it here? Oh yeah, there's the first person view one. Again, it's very, very vague. I think I actually had those, didn't use it in the debut thing for the VTuber and then brought it back for this thing specifically. Or did Cherry draw it? I can't remember. Maybe Cherry drew it. I literally just had to download this video just to get this specific audio. I was going to edit it to look the same way as before, but I felt like doing just something like a little bit more with it this time around. So yeah, so there we go. So that's that. Has anyone got any other questions? Is there anything else you want to know about how things unfolded? Or any other questions? Do you feel like Mumbo and Lizzie could be linked somehow, like a double life pairing? as this is the third time they've not officially appeared in a season, and they're always in seasons with one another, excluding sub-ins, or just pure coincidence. I think it's just pure coincidence, yeah. Is Martin and Ren teaming in every game connected to Third Life and their deep feeling between each other? Please answer this. I suppose somewhat, yeah. Like there's a kinship there, there's a familiarity there. And also they just enjoy each other's company. And they're not going to avoid it just because they know that death is inevitable. I mean, that's more of like a fourth wall-y sort of thing, really. Can character Martin do a backflip? Yep. Can indeed. This season, there was a lot of ghost talking happening. Like the lifers communicating with them during funerals and all that. Any thoughts? No. I think it was just people enjoyed being part of that. Maybe there's a little hint of like the listeners allowing that to happen a little bit more. But I don't know. I don't think that needs to be too deep. If the listeners were able to, if the players were able to communicate via text chat in subsequent episodes after they've died, then maybe that would be something more to look into. But it's very much when you're in an episode, you go out, then that's that. Is the color changing fragment protected a reference to the listeners? It is, yeah. Could Tango perma-dying right after saving a life instead of taking one be a lore thing? There's some irony in it, but I don't think there's nothing too deep there. That's the thing. Not everything that happens in the series has to be lore. You know what I mean? Moments can just be moments. That's the beauty of it. Are there any lore connections of Grian going out second in the past few seasons? I think somewhat, maybe, yeah. I think maybe you can almost like chalk it up to the listeners are there and causing a bit of a disruption, which is waning their concentration, and where Grian has been trying actively to also try and liberate the players from the Watchers. He does have this like sort of meta level of knowledge and vision somewhat. So that probably allows him to make, you know, it might allow him to see a bit more of the server than he would let onto any of the players. He would never vocalize it, but he does have that capability a little bit. Or there's almost like a sense. There's almost like a spidey sense.
BTW. You should work on the VTuber comic for your 15-year anniversary in February. Would be a nice celebratory thing,
yeah.
And we could set up crowdfunding for its. Smile. Also check DMs after stream. PLS Mr. Streamer. Folded
Nice.
hands emoji. Okay, by Brian.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully we don't have to wait for as long as February to do the comic. It'd be nice to do the comic sooner than that.
The countdown audio this
yeah.
series makes me think of Grian's quote in Third Life before the cactus ring fight. The spectators want to fight. Maybe he meant more than the players' ghosts like this season.
Maybe he meant more than the players' ghosts like this season. Not sure what you mean by that. I mean, we were asking the dead player spectator to count us in. I just made it a bit more angsty. I think just watching a chat slowly populate with 3, 2, 1, go was a bit flat. I would kill for a comic, please, please, please. We'll look into it. I think I need to touch base with an artist and figure out how much it would cost to do the comic, and then we'll play it out from there. And then we can do a crowd-funded thing so that, you know, it's all figured out. Is the secret society connected to the lore? Please answer. No more than the boogeyman. No, it's just another mechanic. It's an alteration. It's almost like a shared problem. Because realistically, the boogeyman isn't usually a solitary experience. There's always someone who knows or someone who's willing to help. Whereas where the stakes were high for numerous people, they had to band together. They truly couldn't tell anybody else. So that's kind of the way I saw it. Get B Apple Struder to do the whole comic. I mean, I did have one artist in mind for the comic, but maybe it would be cool if we reached out to numerous artists. Maybe that would help with the production time as well, as if we reached out to different artists to do a page each or something like that. That would be pretty cool. I like the idea of that. Is there a law reason for Jimmy placing so high and Pearl placing so low compared to the usual placements? No, I think that's just coincidence. I mean, again, for them, it's a happy coincidence. Timmy nearly reaches the peak of the mountain, but doesn't quite get there. But yeah. Make another artist group and my life is yours. Wait, what do you mean an artist group? As in like a group of people to do the comic? Mr. Martin, please read the chat on YouTube. I am, as far as I'm aware. I'm seeing a lot more traffic on the Twitch chat. I see a message from Annalisa saying, I wish you would check on us. Unless it's just not coming through on my chat client. Hold on. Maybe the YouTube chat's just like not populating in here, but only the odd messages. Give me a second. But to my knowledge, I thought I was. I just thought YouTube chat was a bit quiet. There was just lots of people spectating. Let me see. I think it is appearing there. Let me see. I think the pace is... I think you've got to remember that there's a lot of people watching on Twitch for this, and I think the YouTube chat gets flooded out somewhat. Let's have a look. I'll look through the YouTube chat and look at some of the questions. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything with a question mark at the end of it. Hold on. No, I don't think I'm seeing any questions there. Yeah, Ruby was asking whether Fragment was healed, which we've confirmed. See, like, other comments there as well. No, I think I've been answering everything. Well, not answering everything that comes up, but I've seen everything that's come up. Do you believe that Pearl somehow infiltrated into Grian's psyche, causing him to kill Gem? No. No, don't think so. Cleo telling Martin the Watcher/Evo logo has changed and saying it was more in his field. What's your lore thoughts on that? Does character Cleo know a lot about the Watchers and have past experiences with talking to them? No. So, I mean, obviously the way that I go about it is usually that the players have somewhat of their memories wiped. You know, going into instances of the game. So the emotions are fed on, and that's why there's not as much in terms of grudges or negative feelings heading into each season. Everyone goes in with a relatively blank slate, but they still have memories of things that have happened. But yeah, the lore thing, I'm trying to think how we could justify that or write it in. How would we spin that one in terms of the story for how Cleo would assume that the logo is something that I would know about? How do we blag that one? Could be a soulmate thing. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I suppose people know about Evo as like a concept and know Martin was there. Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose that'd be a way of justifying it. Maybe it's a mixture of they're aware of the concept of Evo and have heard about it. And then also maybe there is like a little bit more of like, because Cleo and Martin were linked in double life, that they have an awareness of the sorts of things that Martin would be interested in. You know what I mean? Is my camera blurry? It doesn't look blurry to me. Looks fine to me. Is it just going in and out of focus, maybe? Yeah, I would say that I don't think there's any major reason why. I think it's more just Cleo has he's lips in the nail clip. It's the handle at the end, silly. If I'm lips in that bit, then yeah, Jesus, but it's the handle. I've been fidgeting with this thing the whole stream. Cleo was connected to Martin, so some of the memory/traumas could have been shared as well, potentially. Oh, Jesus, a super chat. From Kelly Ivy says, do you think since Jimmy hasn't been part of final battles, he was terrified, causing him to slip, allowing Jem to push him off? I screamed when he decided to eat when Jem was right there. Yeah, I reckon it was like, you know, first time jitters, you know what I mean? That nervousness. Yeah, for sure. I think that's part of it. Again, it's putting people in awkward and new circumstances is what the Watchers do best, right? They facilitate these environments where people where people don't feel comfortable. Anytime there's discomfort, they have a little something to feed on. It's not a major emotion like betrayal or, you know, backstabbing and stuff like that, but it's something. In an episode of Past Life, you were at the square hole saying you like the rain since it drowns out the voices. Cough, listener, cough. You gave a jokey answer to Timmy asking what they were saying, but would you consider this canon and character Martin almost deflecting and not almost wanting to reach out? Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. It's almost like, I think with this connection that's apparent to exist now between the listeners and character Martin, I think there is that whole, it's almost like it's not tinnitus or tinnitus, however it's pronounced, but it's something a bit more, but he can't actually discern what's being said. He can just, every so often there's waves of it, there's influxes of it where he can hear something and voices. And yeah, I think that was almost like he forgot about, like sort of the veil dropped for a moment and he was able to blag it as a joke and managed to turn it into one of the songs and stuff. When the players are falling in the void, are they all in a separate voids worlds, or are they all just really far away from each other, or is it a thing they're all just out of frame in animations?
Again reminded me of more of Scar's lore that he sprinkled in, where he keeps bringing up the sound used for that session's secret society sounds like the shadow people from Secret Life, and he also says I would know. I hear their whispers.
I mean, the benefit I have here is that wasn't in my POV, so I can get away with not having to explain it. That's what I'm going to say to that one. No, so when the players are in the void, they are, like, they're in close proximity, as in they're probably within like a mile of each other. Not close enough to ever touch by any chance, but they are all perpetually falling. They're not simply floating in this void, they are actively falling. But it's an infinite fall because there is no top, there's no bottom, there's no left, there's no right. It's just existence. And there's that constant falling sensation. Which in and of itself actually is one of those plot points that I've had set up for a while, and there's a reason for it. I can't wait to sort of do that one because people will be like, oh, that makes sense. But I can't reveal that one just now. But yeah, they're all just in like a pocket of space and time together. Like, it's one of those things that it kind of doesn't exist and it does. I don't really know how to articulate void stuff. I guess I've not really encountered it in much media to really know. Does anybody ever wake up for a moment while falling in the void? No. I don't think. No, I don't think so. I don't think anybody has. They're very much in like an unconscious state when they're there. Can Grian visit them in the void? No. He can't, much to his frustration, but he doesn't have that level of strength yet as a Watcher type entity. He's aware of it, and he can almost get a sense of who's gone in and out of it. He can almost like detect their spirit, their soul of sorts within proximity, but kind of like how the Watchers are keeping the listeners at bay and out of the space of the games, they're doing the same with Grian, and they're not letting him go into the void where the players are recovering and stuff. Because if that were to happen, if Grian were to be given access to it, you know, he could probably quite easily free them. Can Grian see everybody's fragments? Yes, I would say. Yeah, he has that vision. That's enough of a Watcher capability for him, even as a newer converted or enlightened Watcher. Do the people who were in Evo remember it, and do you think it's a coincidence that you and Grian both had a spelling mistake typo? Yeah, I mean, that's just a coinky-dink. But yeah, they remember being in Evo and stuff. Do you think Grian slowly moved over to the Watcher slide, or is he still trying to free the players? Still actively trying to free the players. And I think he's now probably at the end of this series starting to feel the presence of the listeners and their disruption to the world. I think previously he was operating as a separate entity from the listeners, and even now he still has no way of communing with them and like syncing with them.
Saying, I don't like the rain, and then the rain stops.
I don't like the rain and it stops. It's just one of those coincidences, isn't it? But yes, I think Grian, Watcher Grian now has an awareness that something is going on. He doesn't necessarily know it's the listeners because he doesn't know what they are. He doesn't know they exist. So Grian was plucked out of Evo, became a Watcher. He's never met the council. Like he's never gone to that realm of sorts. He's only ever been under the is that a word, tutelage? I feel like I hear the word tutelage a lot. Tutelage. Is that right? Protection of or authority over someone, guardianship. Yeah, so he's been under the tutelage of the Watchers. Does he know the council's existence? No, I would say. He's been kind of kept in the dark about that one, ironically, as a Watcher. He's a junior who's also gone rogue. Yeah. I think it's the Watchers kind of misjudged who they were plucking to become a Watcher. So yeah. Can you give an example of another player's fragments? Trying to think. I mean, I've never given this any thought, so I'm making it up on the spot right now. I like the idea that if there are fragments, I like the idea that, in fact, let me just double check this. Where is it? Scott Double Life. The movie on. Fast forward that.
Scott, what are you doing? Scott, what are you doing? Scott!
Yeah, I like the idea that like the soles of Scott's feet.
Wait, Scott, what are you doing? Scott!
Yeah, I like the idea that the soles of Scott's feet have
Wait, Scott, what are you doing?
maybe even only under one foot. You know, where he stood on top of the TNT and it exploded, which caused his death. It's almost like the upwards kind of thing. I like the idea of that. It's a bit more of a unique one, isn't it? Are Watchers 1 and 2 from Evo part of the same group of Watchers from the Life series? Because Watchers 1 and 2 seem calmer than the Watchers in the Life series. Yes, they are. There are only 2 Watchers, and now a third, with Grian being taken up. And I suppose people have asked about this previously, actually, and I've sort of explained that they obviously had a much calmer demeanor and a much kinder demeanor back in the Evo series. And we sort of spoke about this previously, about how the reason they've soured is because they didn't appreciate the listeners' involvement in their affairs of sorts. And they were still with the council at this point when they took when they were doing all the stuff with the Evo cast. But I think basically the council took issue with the fact that the Watchers were interfacing so directly with mortals, basically. And that's why the listeners turn up a little bit and they sort of go, yeah, I don't really agree with what's going on here and stuff like that. So it's basically they challenged them at the council. They challenged the Watchers and were like, why are you doing this? Why are you using them like puppets? Why do you even care what they're doing? Like, they are literally just a small band of mortals in a universe of billions of them. Like, what's the point? Like, we don't get it. And then that's when the Watchers then decided to take off. And as they were taking off, that's when they plucked Grian up, because they realized that there'd be strength in numbers. And then that's when the listeners had to come in and basically try and almost like resolve, or like tie up the loose ends and try and like sort of nullify the situation by helping the other players. And then that sort of clash and tug of war when the Evo series ended is the break off point when was the break-off point where basically then the live series story kind of began. God, I can't speak today. My brain is mush.
Saying this for Drakili01, Scar has been quite a big factor in player Martin's deaths.
Okay.
Almost like a nemesis like mentioned in Wildlife. He also almost keeps breaking the fourth wall of the games. Where would you place him in the lore?
I mean, has he been a big factor in my deaths? He wasn't around in the last life finale. He obviously killed me in third life. What about in like double and wild and stuff like that? Did he kill me in double? Did he kill me in wild? Gosh, I can't remember any of these. Final death in third and wild. I would say for now, no. I think it's more just a bit of a coincidence, that kind of thing. Again, I don't like trying to canonize everything because I feel like it's not, I'm sort of kind of putting shackles on myself, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where I'm just going to make my own life harder if I'm trying to canonize everything. It will write me into a corner that I don't need to be in. Can you read the Twitch chat? I can, tight. So they've lost the plot and Grian doesn't like any of it. His allegiances are still to the players. Yeah, very much so. Will you ever bring another person into your lore as a permanent teammate, like someone who becomes aware of what's going on and tries to help Character Martin? Well, so this is the thing, right, is Character Martin isn't entirely aware of what's going on. That's the thing. This whole watcher-listener battle and everything going on this kind of like ethereal level, is the players are unaware of it, and even Character Martin's unaware of it. He had those brief moments of being able to speak directly with them, but his memories of that were wiped immediately afterwards. Like the whole conversation at the end of Last Life, gone. Doesn't remember it at all. Like, they're aware that they're brought there to play games, but not necessarily, they kind of don't question how they got there, if that makes sense. I think I've mentioned that before. So any memories of conversations with the watchers or listeners directly are kind of forgotten about. So even at the end of Past Life, Character Martin will have witnessed that conversation, but then, boop, wiped out. And even if the watchers don't do that, I think the listeners would also do it for Character Martin's sake. I think that would almost be too much to handle and too much to, that'd be too much to comprehend, and there'd be a real helplessness to it if that happened. If they're forgotten about why did they happen in the first place? Well, it's only happened when the series has been won. You know what I mean? I guess actually during Last Life, there was conversations in the middle of it. But again, memory wiped at the end of the season. You said the two Martins are and are not connected. The VTuber Martin and Life Martin share a shattered soul. Are fragments and loot shards connected? That one might have already been mentioned. You're pretty close. You're not miles away. Not miles away at all. That's pretty attentive. Oh, what? What? It's details like that I want to like share like properly. You know what I mean? Like with the comic or with a more blatant piece of media. But it's you're going down the right track. We've gone down a couple of directions today where it like didn't quite click, but that is definitely closer to the reality of it. Back. Are the watchers at the end of Past Life basically saying that they're trying to hold Character Martin back from ruining double winning, but he broke the barrier and double won? No. Like, all they're really talking about at the end is the fact that the listeners are starting to get a bit more like a bit more ground in this domain, this space, this world that they've created, and that they're almost trying to like vilify the listeners in the same way that they feel they've been vilified by the listeners, even though they are baddies. But they weren't initially, but they are now over like many like wrongful feasts on emotions and stuff like that. Previously, the listeners got threatened that if they meet, they'll die / go deaf. But look how much power they have now. Yeah, the balance is tipping. The balance is tipping. Did the obsidian in the logo turn into bedrock end up meaning anything? I mean, it should have done, but it didn't. I don't even know from my perspective if I'm going to like do anything with that lore-wise. I think that was a weak lore bit, which I don't really feel like I want to give too much presence to. You know what I mean? Are the listeners going to bring in the council? Actually, are the listeners aware the Watchers stole a player into their ranks? They are aware of that, yeah. So the listeners are aware that Grian has been snagged up. That's for sure. If character Martin forgets that the conversations with the Watchers and listeners have... this begs the question if they have conversations with the other players, maybe even just a toy with them as they seem to enjoy it so much. Yeah, potentially. I can see that happening. I would probably argue that every winner has had some kind of interfacing with them. Whether they remember it or not, I don't know. Or do we say that? Maybe not. Because otherwise, Grian would have spoken with the listeners right at the start of all of this, whereas I prefer the idea that Grian's only now starting to get a vibe that something's going on. Yeah, no, I think I'll leave it as not. Maybe like mid-season they do, but maybe not necessarily on the wins. I think I like it as is for now. How do you feel about the idea that they only remember the games and everyone else is unaware that they've been in deaf games before? Wait, what? I'm not sure what you mean by that question, I'll be real. Do you think character Martin was very much dragged by the watchers or listeners to keep going, since you were red for so long and there were so many times you could have gotten out, but chance saved you? I think that's a mixture. I think there was some listener intervention happening, but also it's hard to make character Martin squirm, because where he's so confident in these games and consistently survives at least until the final week, it put him into a real troublesome spot for quite some time. I almost like the idea that like Grian accidentally clicking on the bed in the end was the big watchers kind of taking control of Grian for a moment, because he doesn't have full autonomy, even though he's managed to break off from them somewhat, but like his power has still been granted to him. It can't be revoked, but it was still building and brewing, and the watchers still have a bit more strength than he does. So he's able to resist them with like long ongoing motions and movements, but they just did like a little push that caused them to bop the bed to make it explode, killing Martin. I like the idea of that moment. Is character Martin lactose intolerant? Probs. Yeah, probs. I'm starting to think that I am IRL, so why not? Let's make character Martin that. How do you feel about the idea that only the winners remember the games and everyone else is unaware they've been in deaf games before? Oh, no. Everyone remembers all the games. Does character Martin pay his taxes? Hell no. There's no taxes to be paid in those worlds. Did they protect the other players from the bed then as well? Maybe somewhat. Maybe somewhat. Who is Bigby in all of this, since he's not in any other Minecraft series? Is he some sort of outlier with his connection to Evo? Yeah, basically. Yeah. I don't know whether I've ever really decided that, like, Hermitcraft and Empires and everything else is tied into the series. I think it's just, like, this is almost like a... Because it's a AU, an alternate universe, like, it's just... These are just people that exist. I don't necessarily dwell on too much, like, where each of the players came from. I've accounted for where the Evo players came from, because that's a nice jumping off point. But for all the other players, they could just be from anything and be anyone. You know what I mean? The Minecraft cinematic universe. Jesus. I think you've said once that the hermit crafts, etc., is the dreams between games. Yeah, and I still like that idea. Like the idea of Scar going to the sunflowers for a few nightmares, but then having the dreams because they're necessary to repair his soul, so he's ready for another game. So as much as they are torturing Scar a little bit by sending them back to the sunflower fields and stuff, I like the idea that they still give them the positive times as a means of them being in a happy state. I like the thought that the players who weren't invited to Evo had regular lives and got pulled out and shoved into a ruthless killing game. I mean, maybe. Maybe. How did the players originally get sent into the games? Is it like they just got randomly chosen, or did they sign up for it? They were pretty much plucked from existence. I mean, for the Evo characters specifically, it began as a form of punishment for trying to flee via the listener's aid, and that's why they've been pulled into these games. And the Evo players that don't exist in the live series games are probably just in other games with other people in other locations. And then, like, maybe the Watchers had... that's the thing. I don't know whether the Watchers had other run-ins with other servers and other groups of players. I kind of only really focus on Martin and the other stuff. But I have mentioned previously that there are other games going on all the time. And it's not to canonize other SMPs and stuff, but... the live series is an isekai. Yeah, basically. But I do like the idea that, like, you know... I'm not trying to make it an overarching all of Minecraft thing, but I like the idea that, you know, the Minecraft realm can be plucked out at any point and people thrown into these games. There's a lot of fan series. Yeah, I mean, even the fun, it's a fun idea thinking that the fan series that exist, they are just other iterations, other pockets of things that are happening. It's just the Watcher's very specific form of torture and feeding that they work with. Is there a law reason why the past life went back to the Evo gimmick? Part of me wants to say that that's because where the listeners are encroaching and are getting more like influential and gaining more space, that the Watchers are having to more actively pay attention to them, and so they weren't able to come up with new mechanics, or they weren't able to manifest new things, whether that be like quiz bots and snails and stuff like that. Their efforts and their energies were spent on trying to repel the listeners, which meant that they had to lean on older mechanics, like literally bringing stuff back up from the past, which again is those echoes that are mentioned in the final poem, and the parallels that it mentions from the listener's side of the poem at the end of the episode, saying that there's imperfections. It's these old things that have happened, but they're not quite right. You know what I mean? Because they're cobbled together from old instances of stuff. So that's like another layer of the parallels and imperfections and fragments and echoes and ripples and stuff like that from the poem at the end of the past life episode. That's another one of the layers to it. You know what I mean? Is it coincidence that in the end it's Watcher versus Martin? I really want to know this because I have my theories. I think I would say so, yeah. I think I'd say maybe less so that it's a coincidence that Grian's in the final and more so a coincidence that character Martin is, I would say. Like, I would say that I mentioned earlier on that I feel like Grian's coming into his Watcher powers a bit more, and where the Watchers are stretched thin, he can see a bit more of the world. Like, it's almost like an outer body 4D kind of experience, and he's leaning into that to his advantage, hence all the second places. It would probably benefit him to win because he's got this kind of vibe that there's something else going on. So if he were to actually win, maybe that would allow the first time of connection between Watcher Grian and the listeners. They could have their first actual conversation, which could be cool.
Remembering either past connections or interactions they shouldn't, and I present to you, since the players get their memories wiped, maybe the reason they would is because it made such a big impact that the memories left impressions that persist somewhat in the games. such as cross-season before past alliances being rekindled like the G's in wildlife. Could also just be selective memories that persist because the watchers want more flavors to eat.
Well, I mean, I always have it that I always have it that they remember what happened in the games, but the negative emotions have been feasted on. So all of that kind of resentment and animosity and stuff is kind of stripped away. And it's almost like they're left in a, it's almost like they've been dulled. Their senses have been dulled and they've been kind of cleansed. So it's very much like oh, the game's the game. You know what I mean? And it does give but they leave enough there. They leave the memories and a little bit of that kind of negativity so that throughout the series, like Tango with me, Tango always goes, never trust the Martin, and anytime I'm around, it makes him feel uncomfortable, and that's just drops into the teacup of negative emotions for them to feed on. So there's enough left in there to put people on edge, but not enough to make them outright just shut people out. It leaves room for betrayal to happen and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Speaking of echoes, you repeating Grian's audio clip at Grian and then actually killing him in the final is a very fun coincidence. Yeah. I mean, lore-wise, I don't really know how you write off the fact that I played Grian's voice to another player. I like the idea of just like, that's just a silly, like, it's almost like me doing a very good impression. I think that's probably the way I would interpret that. Gosh, this chat is really weird when you scroll it. I know you have aphantasia. If character Martin does too, could that be related to being a listener? He can hear things in his mind but can't see them. Like maybe, I guess. I've not really deeped it that much. Will you continue your VTuber lore videos and possibly tying in the live series lore? I will when the right project comes along, yeah. I think I'm at a point now where I could, again now, include the VTuber stuff in potential future projects, whether that's a POW SMP or something else. I'm never going to have it bleed into Misadventures, just to put that out there. Like, Misadventures is very much its own thing. It's a separate thing. So yeah. Are the listeners morally good, or are they kind of detached godlike beings who are simply trying to maintain, oh, I know the word for this, altruistic. Oh, I learned that one today. It is partly that they're disgusted by the Watcher's behavior, but I think disgust is probably a very strong word. It's more just they don't want the council and what they are to become apparent to the mortals. They don't want that veil to be lifted because they all feed on emotions of the unknowing, if that makes sense. Whereas I think I like the idea that if humanity knew of the Watcher listener, you know, the council type stuff, that almost they could like kind of block themselves off to it. Like if they had that much awareness that those things existed, it would almost be a subconscious lock that would enact on their body and their soul, where they could actually stop them from feeding on them entirely. So it's almost like a selfish self-preservation thing. It's greed versus survival is the kind of clash that's happening. Does that make sense? So yeah. Martin, where is Doc? God knows. We don't know where Doc is, I don't think. I don't think we've had any communication from Doc since End of Pirates. And even then we weren't sure if Doc was okay. Where is he? We don't know. Is he safe? Is he not? There was blood, man. There was blood on the monitors. We don't know what's going on there. Again, there's another parallel with all of that, which I quite like, but we've not gotten there yet. You touched on how some negative things persist despite the memory wipes. But what about things that are seen as more positive, like character Martin's connection with Ren or the Flower Husbands? Most positive emotions stay. I think the Watchers just don't have an interest in those, so they allow those to stay because they also see the benefit in those things staying as well, because that's an open opportunity for betrayal and you know, despair when they see their favorites die. You know what I mean? I think kind of like how Grian always has a soft spots for Scar and stuff like that. He'll be sad to see him go. And that kind of thing. Hmm. Speaking of pirates, anything you can say about the voice that talked about a quarantine with V. Martin? I'm trying to remember what was said in that. Let me have a look. I feel like I already... Let me have a look. Pirates SMP finale.
I never got to see in the world.
Let's have a look. I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna get next. How Suarez is their dad? Is that?
Pushing on mine.
It's before then, wasn't it? It's even further back than that. There it is. What the hell was that? This you, talent on me. Whatever you want. Something like neutral.
You tried.
Evident. Yeah, don't. Were there more messages? I feel like there were. I feel like maybe when we got into the throne. Oh no, I tell you what, it's when we're at the top of the really tall descent, isn't it? Did say that we God, I hate my voice. L away. Ortal away. Ortal away? Portal! Oh my god, portal! Oh yeah. God.
Okay, well we can't get down there, so
I've seen that before. So I didn't really know what to expect when Doc was saying that this was unlike anything he'd seen before. I thought maybe... Oh, I forgot how cool this portal is, actually. But then I never expected to see that thing. It was huge. And I'd never seen a portal take shape before. I pulled out Seek to call Doc, and then all of a sudden... Oh my god, I think
saying this for fake chance underscore, maybe the listeners gave Martin some kinda edge with being able to listen and copy sounds.
I think
like
it's
in Third Life with the creeper sounds, Wild with mob sound prank dubs.
I mean,
or this season with Grian's voice.
When it comes to the quarantine stuff, I think it's implied that it's Doc, but I don't know if it's hard confirmed that it's Doc. I think it was more just a distress signal, whether it's automated or done in real time, not sure. But yeah. Maybe the listeners gave Martin some kind of edge with being able to listen and copy sounds. Like in Third Life with the creeper sound, Wild with mob sound prank to B-dubs, or this season with Grian's voice. Yeah, I don't think we need to linger on it too much. I just see it as him doing an impression. You know what I mean? Are you joining Hermitcraft Season 11? No. No, 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 no. Sorry, I'm just reading through everyone's questions. Is there a law reason why the only two people to beat the Ender Dragon in the live series are Etho and B-dubs? Two people have such extensive history and can't stay away from each other, similar to Martin and Ren. To be honest, I don't know if I even witnessed those two things. I think I always came in really late. Yeah, I don't really have much to say on that one. Can you check DMs before I get off my PC for the day? Hold on. Let's have a look. Ooh. Yeah, they look sick, Jerry. They look very, very good. Give that the green light, dude. Good stuff. Cool. All right. Well, I think that might be the lore talk done. I feel like we've addressed a lot of stuff today. I feel like I've not written down half of what we've actually spoken about, but I think some stuff is just kind of a given. You know what I mean? So I've got the stuff with the moon, which is quite fun, and the whole Mars asteroid thing and the moon porthole stuff. I've got Scar's sunflower lore is where he goes when they want to torture him while he's in his state of repair. Oh, I've got the rats to fog thing. I've got Jem was the one whose emotions were being pushed on. What were the moons called again? They were called, what was it? Mars moons. They were called Phobos and Deimos. Phobos and Deimos, which I thought was quite cool. Can we get a lore emote someday? I really want to do that. The lore emote and a rave emote we need. Maybe I'll ask Cherry if she can make a lore emote for us. I don't know what that would look like. Like, would it just be the word lore, or like, I guess it would just be text, right? I'm not sure. I don't know how I'd go about that. Can you do a quick summary of the lore? I'm very confused. Really, what I need to do is I need to work on a video for that. I need to figure that one out. But yeah, a video would be really good. I feel like the video would be better. It's that thing of, I almost don't want to make a video until the whole story's revealed, or at least up to a certain point that I'm happy with. Particularly when I fully reveal how the VTuber and the live series stuff is linked properly. I feel like then it would be a good time to do that, because then I think that would then be a real transformative point of where the series then probably would take on a pretty wild tangent or enter a very exciting chapter. Maybe a short explanation in a short. I did do shorts about the VTuber lore. Let me see if I can find them. I did a very quickie video about that, but I've not done a short or a quickie thing on the other stuff. Like, so I've got a few little bits. So I've got this one. Here's my VTuber lore in 60 seconds. This is Martin, a young adult gamer who wanted to pirate a few old video games. The only person who knew how to do this was Doc, his slightly mysterious neighbor who has a lot of fancy tech in his garage. Martin presses something he shouldn't and ends up getting pulled into the data stream, an endless green void connected to every data center on the planet. And for now, he's stuck. Doc knows how to send things into there, but he doesn't know how to get them out again. And Martin's going to be there a while because Doc's hands are full. He spends most of his days fighting an evil, behind closed doors, mega corporation called Chest. To speed things up, Martin becomes a self-entitled data stream defender, traveling to various game worlds and deleting loot shards that reside there, with loot standing for low orbiting operation trigger. With little clue as to who's an NPC, a real player, or a chest agent, Martin does his best to blend into each of these game worlds whilst on the search. What does this text say? Will we ever learn more about Doc? Chest must stand for something, right? And how does this connect into the Minecraft multiverse? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So that was the first one, and then there was also this one. And I don't think I've done another one since, to be fair. The Rats. This was at the end of Rats 1. SMP is finally over, and in true Marvel style, it had a post-credit scene. So let's go over some of the brand new details we've learned about the VTuber lore. When Martin pushed Crow into the portal that was made for Sneak, that wasn't just a troll. It was actually a test to see whether characters could leave their game worlds. It didn't work, but during the Loot Cave episode, Awakenings was mentioned, implying that maybe with some extra steps it might be possible. And on the topic of the Loot Cave, we still don't actually know what the loot shards are. The only new tidbit of information we have is that potentially the size of the shard affects the size of the rift out in the data stream. More of those strange characters and symbols began appearing everywhere. The chalkboard in the attic bar had a few, and we even saw some on the sequencer. Speaking of Seek, which is Martin's nickname for it, it's got a diary function. I'm really gutted that I can't find the block bench model for this, because I really am quite proud of it, but I just can't find it anywhere. Sequencer. Speaking of Seek, which is Martin's nickname for it, it's got a diary function. So that diary, as well as a bunch of other concepts in the story, have been getting fully fleshed out over on my Tumblr. Feel free to come and fire a question my way, and I will see you all next time when Martin returns. And we all know he returned for Pirates and for Rats 2. Cool. All right. I think that might be it, chat. I think we've answered a bunch of questions today. Loads and loads and loads and loads of them. Let me just quickly run through and say a couple quick thank yous to Dolphin Shoes, who became a member on YouTube. Thank you very much. We had Bella Shade with the 5 bits. We had Darkness Star as well with the 10 bits. And what else do we
Pointing
have?
out that this season when the Ender Dragon was defeated, Scott took the dragon egg from Jimmy and later gave it to Grian so he could kinda get back at him for killing Pearl. Cause he knew Jimmy wanted it and then it was never brought back up. Just thought this was a silly little side story.
Yeah, that was a thing actually. So speaking of silly little side stories, who put the red in our eyes? Is that been shown in any POV so far? Because I still have no idea who turned our eyes red on our floating heads. It must have taken some work to do that because the heads were floating by that point, I think. Unless they were still wedged on a mountain at that point. Maybe they were still on a mountain actually. But either way. It was probably Bigby. Wasn't it the devs? Maybe. I feel like it happened mid-session though. I could be wrong. Someone did a theory seeing it and it was either Bigby or Grian because no one kept it in their video. Yes, that's weird, isn't it? You should make canon lore videos kind of like VTuber stuff, but more in depth. I do plan to eventually. I mean, that's the kind of video that I think would be good for a members only video. Well, maybe not members only, but I'll use the money from the YouTube memberships to fund that kind of video. I think that would be good. But yeah. Any plans on an animatic react stream in the future? Yeah, we should probably do one of those actually in the next week or so. Get to making the comic, boss man. Yeah, I mean, let's have a look. How much does it cost to pay illustrators for a comic on average? And this will probably be a very wildly scoped thing. I guess it depends on their level of expertise, their rates, all that sort of stuff. Range from a few $100s for simple projects to thousands for complex multi-page comics by experienced artists. Yeah, so it'd probably be a lot. I think what I'd have to do is I'd have to touch base with a bunch of artists to find out what their rates would be, say, per page is probably the best way to do it. And then go from there with it. What's this one? I'm an author, just finished my first children's book. Self-publish. Including the title page, copyright, blah, blah, blah. It stands at 44 pages. Can somebody advise on what this might cost? Average cost to self-publish a trade quality children's picture book. Oh, that's different. That's a kid's picture book, I suppose. God, if it's like 10k though to do it. I think the other part that I would have to figure out is like, how do you do that? Like I obviously know how I would set up a Kickstarter or whatever, but I'd want to figure out how I would pay the artist. Like I'm assuming you don't just pay them all up front because if they fuck off, then the money's gone. For my picture book of 10 pages, it cost me about $3,000. Yeah, I'd want to make sure that like we have the funds there and we pay the artists like half before, half after or something like that. You know what I mean? But I would go to artists that are within the community and people that I think are trustworthy and stuff like that in the hopes that they don't screw us over and just run off with the money. But yeah. Take my hand and let's find artists and their price together. Yeah, we can do that. We'll figure it out. We'll pull something together. What we could do is I think what the most important part is for me to actually figure out what I want to convey in the comic, do a rough layout, or even just what I want to cover within the scope of it. I might even speak to Mark Humes as well because ages ago, I don't know if you can even find. Can you find a copy of it? What was the comic called that Mark and Nina worked on together? Nina did the art and Mark did like the story writing and stuff like that. I'm sure it was called like Lelate. Where was it? Mark Humes comic. Where is it? I have like a very old copy of it somewhere. That's it. Lelate comic. Yeah, there it is. Is there actually access to it anywhere? Oh, speaking of comics as well, I've been reading through that Invincible book that I got, which has like the first 7 comics in it. I think I've read 3 of the comics so far, and I'm going into the 4th, but like, I'm really disappointed in it so far. It just feels unbelievably generic. Like, I don't know, I'm just not into it. It just feels a bit like maybe it picks up by the end of it. I'm obviously gonna read all 7 of them or whatever, but yeah, so far it's not grabbed me out the gate. Where is it? Comic. There it is. Oh, okay, it's trying to link to a web page. What the hell is smackjeeves.com? Is that a comic website? It's pocketcomics.com. Is it still on there to read in digital? What's it called again? The latte. Sorry, no, you can't see any of this. No, it's not there. I wonder if that exists. But yeah, I think Mark was... I think it was a joint effort between them to decide the pacing and the pages and stuff like that. But that's the only person that I know that has experience making a comic, so I can definitely pick their brain about it. But yeah. All right then. That's me done for today, chat. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for your questions. I hope it was insightful. I know it's not quite as big of a lore drop as I've done in previous lore streams and talks. It's a very slow unraveling of the layers of the story. I think it's been big in the sense that I've now hard confirmed the connection between the data stream story and the live series story, which is quite exciting to do. I think there's only really one more step until we show off the full connection between the two and then figure out how we move forwards from there with the story to keep it interesting and engaging. So yeah, we'll look into the comic. We'll see what we can do. We'll pull together a bunch of artists, get a quote, make a rough manuscript, I guess, of sorts, and then go from there. But I have other stuff that's on my priority list first, like one of them being I need to check that all of the players, Cherry included if Cherry's still here, I need to see whether their character sheets are finished for the Daggerheart thing. And then we can get that quick start adventure going.
So that's why he was more focused on having fun instead of the games, only to go back to the sunflowers. This season he realized he's back in the games, and the trauma of being locked in Red Life back in SL is why he was more bloodthirsty this season. That and his final task of being to win is why he was so locked in this season.
Nice. I like the idea of that. That's pretty cool. Are you excited for Metro Mayhem? I am. I think I've watched like one speedrun that Pearl did of it, but I've kind of forgotten a lot of it. I kind of like the idea of going in blind, which might feel like a step back for everybody, but it was the same with Decked Out as well. I think it's nice going in to play that, not knowing anything, and just playing it as a first-time player, because you only get to play it once. I don't want to study it before playing it. So yeah. Invincible 7 is going to be the one that gets you invested or not. Okay, fair. But yeah, Daggerheart, I can't believe how many people were excited about it. The big ask that I saw regarding the Daggerheart thing was people really wanted to know like what the team name was, like the group name was, so that people have something to tweet for tagging stuff and everything. So we'll have to figure that out among the group. But I'm sure we can come up with something. Even if it's temporary, we could have a temporary hashtag of just like MCYTDH, MCYT Daggerheart. You know, it's something like that. I think that could work. But yeah, we'll figure that out soon enough. What is Daggerheart? Go watch the Daggerheart VOD if you want to learn about it. Long story short, it's a tabletop system like D&D, but it's not D&D. It's created by the Critical Role team and a bunch of people they've been working with. That's basically it. So yeah, all good. Just a heads up, what have I got coming up this week? I want to play more Silksong for sure. We'll hopefully get the Daggerheart stream up and running. I'm definitely getting back to Misadventures now that the summer holidays are over and the life series is concluded and stuff, which is good. So yeah, we got Silksong, Daggerheart, Misadventures, and what else was there? I feel like there was something else. No, I can't remember. Can't remember what the other stuff was. People have been begging for a Hermitcraft D&D game for ages. Daggerheart's been the closest we've ever gotten, so of course we're hyped. Yeah. I mean, the thing is as well is like I can do this with a lot of other people if I get used to it. Roblox with Timmy. He's been doing that, hasn't he? He's been firing up his Roblox channel again. Roblox Solidarity. Where is it? Yeah, he's still uploading consistently. Videos are doing great as well. They're getting like 20, 30k a pop. Like, that's awesome. Nice. Right, sorry, I keep delaying leaving. I should really just bugger off, shouldn't I? Let us find somebody to raid real quick. If you do have any more questions, by the way, feel free to dive into my Tumblr inbox. I'm always there, so you can give me a prod on there. But let's go and raid. Let's see. Oh, it looks like Block Wars Origin is on at the minute. Nice. Let's go and raid. I've got a few people doing Block Wars on my list, actually. Who we got? We've got Kyle, May, Linksy, and Katie. I don't see Katie online that much. We'll go raid Katie. Katie go brr. Let me do that. Where is it? Stream manager, raid, Katie go brr. Is it 2 R's? That's about that, right? Yeah, that's it. All right, cool. Go and enjoy Katie's stream over on Twitch. Of course, on TikTok and YouTube, the stream is just going to end. And I will see you all tomorrow, probably for Silk Song. And then I will prod my Daggerheart players to sort out their sheets, and we can maybe get the Daggerheart stream in at some point in the next week or so, which will be pretty good. Thank you for your questions. As always, feel free to send even more of them via Tumblr inbox, or you can just simply use the eyes and ears hashtag on Tumblr, and that's the way that we can consolidate all of this story stuff into there. And have a great one. Bye-bye.